Hey, Rick, how are you, buddy?
Good, Jace. How you going, mate? All right?
Yeah, going really well, mate. Really well. And we're both doing well because we just come out and seen Shang-Chi yesterday. We've gone and seen the new Marvel MC film. We've been there, we've done that, Rick. So I thought, normally what our status quo is, we would come out of the cinema and go straight back into the studio and record a review. Now, the good thing and bad thing about that is the good thing is you get our natural reactions of how we felt about it. But the negative is that because it's so fresh, you kind of leave out chunks of stuff you want to talk about. So I thought this time that we would take a night. We'd seen it yesterday at lunchtime. We'd take a night to think about it, and then bam, here we go. So, but also with our new format, we're not going to wait till the end to let you know what we thought of this film.
No,
we're not going to bury the lead. Look, it's fair to say we both really, really enjoyed this movie, Rick.
We did. I mean, geez, what can I say, Jace? I had very few expectations from this film, only because, given the fact it's an origin story of a character which we knew very little about, myself and probably a lot of people out there knew very little about. But let me just say, after 10 years of almost having every Marvel movie more of an armed combat type movie, this movie was fresh, different, and it was a perfect start to Phase 4. Now, before I get crucified by everyone saying, "Oh, what about Black Widow and everything else?"
What about Black Widow?
Yeah, exactly, Jace. This was a lot better than Black Widow, in my opinion. So, just everything about this movie. It was funny. It was exciting. It had adventure. The storyline got me from A to B straight away, and I followed it all through. And this movie was so engaging for me. I was invested. I was invested in the characters. I was invested in the plot. The fighting sequences in this movie was just top notch. And the characters were likable. Everything about this movie was just a solid, refreshing new perspective for a movie for the MCU. Not only it was great for the MCU, but also as a standalone movie, I reckon phenomenal. So
yeah, look,
in a nutshell,
I couldn't agree more with what you kind of said there, and it's interesting. We'll delve into a little bit more of what you said there, and you're talking about the freshness of this film, and it is a very look. I mean, like you, no expectations. Didn't know Shang-Chi as a character as well. He has been around in the comics, as you can see, for a while there, and certainly recently had definitely made a big impact in the comic book genre, but knew nothing about him really. So, the expectations were not as high for more known properties such as Black Widow, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, all that. It actually worked to its advantage because the film does feel very fresh because we don't have any baggage with the character, because we don't really know which way they were going to go with this. It just works so well. And it works well because what Marvel do great, and they've always been perfect at this, Rick, is their casting. And who they cast to play Shang-Chi is paramount to this. I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't know if I've ever seen a more relatable character as an MCU hero. I would say him and Paul Rudd. And the reason I picked those two, because everybody else in the MCU is a heightened character. With their personalities, their alter ego, from Tony Stark to Bruce Banner to Black Widow. Everyone's got this heightened. Excuse me, but Paul Rudd, and especially this guy now, Shang-Chi, they both feel like they're relatable. Like they're guys that you would have a beer with at a pub. Yeah. They're guys that you kind of know in your world. They're kind of grounded, normal kind of people, if that's such a thing. And I think that works really well because both Aquafina and the lead were just really likable, and if you don't get that right in this film doesn't work. It's because the characters are so relatable and we're with them from the get-go. You know, when they do go into these fantastical realms and we're seeing things that are just mind-blowing, you kind of go with it. I mean, you kind of go with it. I mean, there's, you know, there is massive spoilers throughout this whole review.
Oh, there is.
Cut to the chase. I mean, you've got a giant squid fighting Falcor from Neverending Story at the end of the movie, and which should be an absolute cringe fest, but it is a visual feast and it is earned. And that third act when it's like, you go, Pokemon characters, you got the dragon from Neverending Story, you got this giant squid with bat wings, and like just this crazy concept, and it just melds together so well. You know? And I'm not going to use the F word, all right? But this film is about siblings and parents.
It is.
All right?
That's the
and I know that's a common theme throughout the MCU and certainly in Fast and Furious movies, you know. But it's a complex family structure they've got going in this. And it works really well because the other thing that makes this film kind of work on that better level than other films we've seen recently is that the villain. The villain is not really a villain. I'm not convinced that we did have a villain. We had a man who was once a villain, who had, you know, fallen in love and got that out of him. And out of that deep love, that sense of just not wanting to let go, he does everything in his power to bring her home. And it's hard to turn around and go, well, I don't relate to that. He's an evil villain, or away he goes. Well, no, I kind of do relate that, you know, the most important person in your life is taken from you. If you had a chance to bring them back, would you not try to do that? It's just the way he goes about it, which is the issue, obviously, within the movie. But, such a surprise packet, Rick, this film. Really was. I mean, really was. I mean, like that. You talk about the fight scenes. That scene on the bus, like
that's what I got you.
When he films 20 minutes into this movie, we get a really fantastic fight scene on that bus, and you know, which could have been just an average fight scene. You know, get you from A to B. We get to see a little bit, but holy moly, they went all out there, and it was so spectacular. And you know, Rick, I'm going to go down this pathway. I don't want to compare too much with Black Widow, but let's have a look at some of the comparisons, all right? Black Widow is very much about family as well, all right?
Yeah.
And good characters. But by the end of it, we kind of lose that in that movie. I don't know. The dynamic that they had versus the family dynamic we have in this film. This film, there felt like there was stakes. There felt like there was depth going on. And I feel like the family dynamic of Black Widow was very vanilla. The third act of this film, where we go to this magical, epic battle, which really should have been, looks like something out of a Japanese anime, which really probably shouldn't have worked so much better. And I bought into that scenario way more than the flying city falling apart in Black Widow. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's the big green tick I give to this film. The places they take us, the characters and everything, and you're along with it the whole ride of this movie.
How, like, you know, when you go, and that's the whole point of a movie, and to get invested in and all that. And we were, like, I don't know about you, Jason, I'm sure you were as well. But I was straight when the, you know, I was at the front of my seat. I'm like, wow, this is just getting better and better with everything. You know, and you know, if you're into that genre of that kung fu style type of movie, you're gonna love this, definitely. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, this characters, Rick. I mean, that's what makes it work, and you know, you really want to go back and see more of this universe, don't you? You really do. You know, I mean, I know I do.
It was great. Simu, I think that's how you
Simu. Yeah,
it was great. Aquafina was fantastic as that side quirky character.
Yeah,
Michelle Yeoh.
I mean, let's not go past the great surprise.
Oh yeah, huge surprise.
Is Trevor Slattery returning? And not just a cameo, an actually beefy role, which was just wonderful to have him kind of included. So they continue to always surprise us, don't they?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Now, early box office reports are out.
Yeah.
Of how it's already performing on the Friday night viewing, right? And the news is big. It's 53 million on from Friday to Thursday and Friday, I think, screenings.
Wow.
Which is their third biggest, highest opening weekend. So this film is being received really well, which is a good sign because it is a film that does deserve its credit. It is in the top bracket of the Marvel MCU films for me. Like, I'm putting and saying, I enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed seeing Guardians of the Galaxy the first time. Or, from maybe not the Avengers. The Avengers is a very, very high watermark, but even Iron Man and even it is good as any introduction movie that we have seen.
Oh, for sure.
From the MCU, in my opinion. It's a really strong opening, And, you think, okay, let's talk about bigger things here besides just this movie, where this movie has the potential to grow. Because it does. And you would think it wouldn't, Rick. You would think, okay, I'll tell you what, this is my impression of the film before I saw the film. Oh, this is going to be this cool little streets of San Francisco street fighting, Yakuza kind of battling kind of film. It is not that film at all. It is this grand epic. From that, you think, well, it's very well contained in its own pocket of the globe. But no, I mean, Marvel have got big plans for this character. I mean, think about this. The 10 rings, right? When they explain it in the movie that Wenwu found those 10 rings, thousands of years ago. What? And then later on in the after credit scene where they're with Wong, and again, spoilers, Wong, Captain Marvel, and Bruce Banner. Wong turns around and says, well, they're like known materials we know of. So I'm thinking, well, that means they're alien. Now, who was on Earth thousands of years ago that we haven't seen the film of yet, but it's coming up?
It's coming up.
It's Eternals. So I believe there is definitely a tie there. I also think you've just got so much opportunity to take those characters and put them in. I think they're going to be very interchangeable. You can put them in a Disney Plus show. You can put them in another movie. Yeah. And it's going to do really well. So I think they're a bigger connection with Shang-Chi. And I have a feeling there's going to be connections with him and Doctor Strange at some point.
You can see that. Well, you can see that
the Eastern influence on the, I think there's just so much potential for this character to evolve and to grow and to continue to have really exciting adventures. This is, man, after Black Widow, I was feeling a bit flat. And I think I gave that film, I gave that film a 3.5. Yeah. But I had issues with it. I really had issues with it. And they haven't gone away. But this film was like just a clean, it's like having a really good long hot shower. You felt really clean afterwards and you feel great and away you go. So this, I mean, I can crap on about this film for a couple of hours. I mean, just the way that they. Do you know in this film, in the first 10 minutes of this film, no one speaks English?
No, that's right.
And the whole opening prologue,
I like that.
No one's mentioning it, and you know why? Because it's an example of skilled filmmaking. Because really, it doesn't matter. That prologue is up there with like a Lord of the Rings prologue of being very clear, direct, action-packed, and an explanation of what the background is of one of the main characters. It was completely done in, I think, Mandarin, wasn't it? Chinese.
It wouldn't work if it was done in English.
No, but they've taken a lot of care to represent that culture in the movies. And someone says to me, got to have representation in these films.
No.
Yeah, you kind of do. Because you know what, as a white guy, I've seen enough white guys in capes. So I've seen a lot of my perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this film works too, because we're taken to another culture, another way of life, and we're kind of, we get to experience that, which is thrilling, which is exciting, and I'm really was, because Wakanda, as we know, very controversially so, I respect and admire Black Panther for the cultural relevance of what it was trying to do, bigger than a movie. But as a movie, it ain't so great. It's got its problems. And it's not with the actors. The actors are phenomenal. It's the script. It's some of the CG. But this just, to me, was better than Black Panther in so many ways because, you know, they felt this real, and I'm not saying they didn't with Black Panther either, but there seemed to be this extra care about what they were doing with Shang-Chi, which, you know, again, hands on, got to clap your hands to Kevin Feige on that one. I mean, he's just his ability to craft these universes and to shepherd these films into being what they are is honestly, it shocks me every time they come out with a great MCU film. Yeah, I haven't had this much fun seeing an MCU film probably since Infinity War.
Yep.
That was the last time I was. Yeah. That's how much I rate this film. Yeah.
Yep. So what do you rate it, Jace, out of the 5?
Oh, we haven't done our ratings.
We didn't do our rating system. No, we just kind of went over that.
I was going to throw them up there, and then I didn't do it. There we go. We both gave it. Out of 5 VHS tapes, we both gave it 4.5. I mean, it's as easy as that, isn't it, Rick? I mean, you wouldn't. Yeah. You can't give it a 5 because that's the ceiling. So, what's the next thing down to be close to that ceiling of excellence? It's got to be. This is definitely one of them.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what I loved about this? They hit it very well from the trailer. Sometimes they give too much from the trailer, but this was just so good. You know, when the whole internet crashed when we saw Abomination fight, you know, that fight scene. But when you actually watch that scene, it is so good for a lot of reasons.
And it's so good, it's so small, and it's very well done too. It's hilarious to find out
not what you Abomination expected. It has its I don't want to go too far into it, but really,
it's a great setup and a great payoff, and it's nice that they're kind of doing that with those characters. But there you go, Rick. I mean, that's our opinion on what was a surprisingly excellent addition to the MCU. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It's a film. Definitely get out to the cinema if you have the ability to. Get out there, go see it, go support this film because we're out there, we're paying those movie tickets. I've got to keep making these type of quality films, you know. I'm so glad this is a movie rather than a Disney Plus show. Yeah, you deserve, you know, after you see the screen, you're going, nah, man, you have to see this in the big screen. Seeing it on the small screen, you're just going to lose something.
With justice. That's right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, Rick, you got any more to add about this one?
No, mate. I'm done. Look, just go see it. Like Jay said, this is a great movie, and it's great to see that, you know, and it's going to be huge. I would love to see the figures overseas, how well it does overseas, especially in China.
Especially in China. I think we want to see
China. I want to see that for sure. But yeah, guys, go out and see this movie. You will not be disappointed. So yeah,
fantastic.
Love it.
Brilliant, guys. Well, we're done. And before we go, Rick, you know, a big part of what we do here is we love communicating with the people who view the show and want to get involved. Rick, can you just let everyone know how to do that?
Guys, all you need to do is just give us a comment down below for the video. Also, give us one of these, a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and follow us all on our social media sites. All the links are down below, guys. So we'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Woo. See ya.